Alan Mason knew something was wrong when the emergency alarms began to blare throughout the Kazari space station. Red lights flashed in the corridors as he ran toward the central hub, his toolbox banging against his leg. The station's ancient systems had been giving them trouble for weeks, but nothing this serious. "Nathan, what's happening?" Alan called out as he spotted his team leader at the main control panel. Nathan White looked up, his face a mask of concern that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Core breach in Sector 7. The whole station could go critical. We're evacuating now." Alan frowned. He had checked Sector 7 himself just yesterday. Everything had been functioning within normal parameters. "That's impossible. Let me see the readings." "No time," Nathan snapped, pushing past him. "The shuttle leaves in 15 minutes. Grab only essential items." The station shuddered around them. The rest of the 12-person human engineering team was already rushing toward the docking bay, carrying bags of personal belongings and stolen Kazari artifacts. The aliens who normally inhabited the station had departed weeks ago, leaving only the human team to study their technology. Alan hurried to his quarters, grabbing his personal tablet and emergency kit. Something about Nathan's explanation didn't add up. He detoured to a secondary control terminal and pulled up the station schematics. The core readings showed unusual activity, but nothing matching a breach scenario. These readings looked manufactured. His tablet pinged with a notification. A hidden file had been transferred to his device during last night's systems check, a file he hadn't noticed until now. Alan opened it and his blood ran cold. Video footage showed Nathan entering the restricted storage area, removing advanced Kazari technology components and carefully packing them away. The timestamp was from 3 days ago. "He's been stealing tech," Alan whispered. "And now he's staging an emergency to cover his tracks." The station intercom crackled. "Final boarding call. All personnel report to docking bay immediately." Alan ran toward the docking bay, his mind racing. He needed to confront Nathan with evidence, not accusations. As he approached the shuttle entrance, Nathan intercepted him. "Mason, I need to speak with you," Nathan said, pulling him aside as the others boarded. "We found unauthorized access to the station's core systems from your terminal." Alan stared at him in disbelief. "What? That's not possible. The logs don't lie." Nathan's expression hardened. "I need your tablet for evidence." Now Alan understood. Nathan had discovered the automatic backup system, had recorded his theft, and had framed Alan to create a scapegoat. "You're stealing technology," Alan said quietly. "I have proof." Nathan's face darkened. "Hand over your tablet, Mason." "Everyone's aboard, sir. Call Paul Johnson, the shuttle pilot. We need to leave now." "Give me the tablet," Nathan demanded, his voice low and threatening. When Alan refused, Nathan struck quickly. A sharp pain exploded in Alan's side. A small shock baton, enough to disable without leaving marks. Alan fell to his knees, the tablet clattering from his grip. Nathan scooped it up and backed toward the shuttle. "Mason attacked me when confronted about his sabotage," Nathan announced loudly. "We can't risk bringing him on board. The station's systems should hold for another day. We'll send a recovery team." Alan struggled to stand, his muscles still spasming from the shock. "You can't. Leave me here. The station's already transmitting distress signals. Someone will come," Nathan said, just loudly enough for Alan to hear. "Probably not soon enough, though." The shuttle door sealed shut. Through the small window, Alan glimpsed the concerned faces of his teammates as Nathan showed them something on Alan's tablet. Undoubtedly doctored evidence of his sabotage. The docking clamps released, and the shuttle pulled away from the station. Alan watched through the viewport as his only ride home shrank to a distant point of light, then disappeared. The station groaned around him. A readout on the wall showed life support functioning at 62% capacity and falling. Alan stared at the life support readout for several long moments. The reality of his situation sank in like a stone in his stomach. He was alone on an alien station with failing systems and no immediate rescue in sight. "Think, Alan," he muttered to himself. "You've got maybe 6 days if the decline continues at this rate." First, he needed to know exactly what resources he had. Alan grabbed a portable scanner from a nearby workstation and began a methodical search through the station's main deck. He found emergency rations left behind by his team, enough food and water to last about 2 weeks if he was careful. There were also spare oxygen canisters in the maintenance lockers, but only enough for 3 extra days. As Alan moved deeper into the station, checking systems and taking inventory, he heard a sound that made him freeze. It was a soft clicking noise, like metal tools against a hard surface. He was supposed to be alone on this station. He followed the sound cautiously, one hand gripping a wrench as his only weapon. The noise led him to the lower engineering deck, a section of the station his team had only partially explored. The clicking grew louder as he approached a sealed door with strange, swirling patterns etched into its surface. Alan pressed his ear against the door. Definitely movement inside. And voices. He took a deep breath and pressed the access panel. The door slid open with a hiss. 3 aliens turned toward him, their multifaceted eyes widening in surprise. They were Khazari, the species that built the station, with their characteristic blue-green exoskeletons and 4 upper limbs. Alan had only seen them in briefing videos before now. "Humans still here." The tallest one spoke in broken English, mandibles clicking in what Alan guessed was agitation. Others left. Alan nodded slowly, trying to appear non-threatening. "They left me behind. Station systems failing. Need help." The aliens exchanged glances, communicating in their clicking language. Finally, the tallest one stepped forward. "I am Skatal. Scientist," he said. "This Vrina, engineer. This Ordix, maintenance." "Alan Mason." "Human engineer," Alan replied, lowering the wrench. "Why are you still here? I thought all Khazari left weeks ago." Skull's upper limbs made a gesture Alan couldn't interpret. "We, not welcome with others. Political problem. Left behind too." Vrina stepped forward. She was smaller than the others, with more delicate features and lighter coloring. "Station dying. Soon no air for you. Not good for us either." Alan realized they were in the same situation he was, abandoned and running out of options. "Maybe we can help each other," he suggested. "I'm good with machines. You know the station." Ordix, the stockiest of the 3, made a sharp clicking sound. "Humans break things. Why trust?" "I didn't take anything," Alan said firmly. "My team leader did. He left me here to die because I found out." He noticed a translator device on a nearby console. It was more advanced than the portable units his team used. Alan moved toward it slowly. "May I? This will help us talk better." After a moment of hesitation, Skatal nodded. Alan activated the device and adjusted the settings. "The life support systems are failing faster than they should," Alan explained, his words now being translated more accurately. "Someone damaged them deliberately." "Your leader," Vrina said, her words now clear through the translator. "We watched from hiding. He broke the main oxygen recyclers." Alan felt anger rising but pushed it down. Anger wouldn't keep him alive. "I can fix them," he said with more confidence than he felt. "But I need your help understanding the technology." Skull studied him for a long moment. "We have supplies hidden. Food for us, not for humans. Tools, some spare parts. And I have human supplies," Alan offered. "We have better chances together than apart." Ordix still looked suspicious, but Vrina stepped forward decisively. "Show us what broken," she said, picking up what appeared to be a toolkit. "We start now, or we all die." Alan nodded, feeling the first glimmer of hope since the shuttle departed. 6 days had just become a fighting chance. The main control room of the Khazari station looked like a mess of organic and mechanical parts to Alan's eyes. Vrina moved with confidence among the strange controls, her 4 hands working quickly as she showed Alan the basic systems. "This not like human machines," she explained, touching what looked like a pulsing green tube. "Station is part alive. Needs harmony." Alan frowned, trying to understand. "You mean it's biological, like a living organism?" Sktal made a sound that the translator interpreted as a laugh. "Not exactly. Our technology connects with living energy, machine and life together." For 3 days, Alan struggled to understand the fundamental principles of the station's technology. His human training told him to look for circuits, wires, and code. But the Kizari systems seemed to respond to something entirely different. "I don't get it," Alan said in frustration after another failed attempt to restart the main air recyclers. "I can see the problem. This connector is damaged. But even when I replace it, the system won't respond." Ordix, who had been silently watching from the corner, finally approached. "You fix parts but not speak to system." He lifted what looked like a small flute. "Station needs right. Song." "Song?" Ellen asked in confusion. Vrina nodded. "Patterns. Rhythms. Like music to station." Alan sat back, thinking hard. The Kizari had been explaining this concept, but he'd been too stuck in his human way of thinking to understand. Their technology responded to patterns, vibrations, frequencies, rhythms, not just binary code or electrical signals. "Show me," he finally said. Ordix played a simple sequence of notes on the flute-like instrument while touching one of the control panels. The lights on the panel pulsed in sync with the sounds, and a section of the air recycler hummed to life. "It's like a password," Alan realized. "But instead of typing it, you play it." Sktal nodded. "Now you understand. Each system has pattern. Must know pattern to fix." Alan thought about the music he used to listen to back on Earth. Patterns, rhythms, harmonies. These were concepts he could grasp. He just needed to think of the station's systems as an orchestra, with each component playing its part in a larger composition. "I need to make something to help me work with your systems," Alan said. Excitement building. A human Kizari interface. He spent the next day rigging up a device that combined his tablet with components from the station. It wasn't pretty, but it could translate the rhythmic patterns of Kizari technology into something his human devices could interact with. "Now we're getting somewhere," Alan said as the interface successfully connected to one of the secondary systems. "Let's map out the station, figure out which systems are damaged and which are just disconnected from the network." As they worked, Alan noticed something strange in the pattern of failures. "These systems didn't fail randomly," he said, pointing to the map they'd created. "Look at the pattern. Every third junction is damaged in exactly the same way." Vrina studied the map, her mandibles clicking rapidly. "Deliberate. Sabotage." "Nathan," Alan said grimly. He must have been planning this for weeks. Sktal moved to a terminal Alan hadn't seen before. "Must show you something." He played a complex sequence on the controls, and a hidden compartment opened in the wall. Inside was a data crystal that glowed with an inner light. "What is that?" Alan asked. "Station records," Sktal explained. "Shows everything, even things your leader didn't want you to see." They plugged the crystal into Alan's interface device. The screen filled with schematics, not just of the station they were on, but of an entire network of stations connected by what looked like wormholes. "I don't understand," Alan said. "What am I looking at?" "Real purpose of station," Vrina said quietly. "Not research outpost. Is control node for travel network. Very important. Very powerful." Alan stared at the schematics in amazement. This wasn't just about survival anymore. They were sitting on technology that could change everything about interstellar travel. "No wonder Nathan wanted to steal from here," he murmured. "This is worth a fortune." Alan spent hours studying the data crystal with Sktal. The more he learned, the more amazed he became. The station wasn't just a research outpost. It was positioned at a strategic location where three major trade routes met in space. So this station controls access to the wormholes? Ellen asked, pointing to the glowing pathways on the map. Yes. Open, close, direct traffic, Skatal confirmed. Very important for trade, diplomacy, defense. But if it's so important, why was it abandoned? Why is it in such bad shape? Alan couldn't understand why such a valuable asset would be left to decay. Vrina joined them, her movements slower than usual due to fatigue. Politics. 3 species want control. Khazari, Dranari, Hulex. No agreement, so no one gets station. Like children fighting over a toy, Alan muttered. If I can't have it, no one can. Ordix made a clicking sound that the translator didn't catch. He seemed to be laughing. So instead of sharing it, everyone just left. Alan asked. Not exactly left, Skatal said. Forced to leave by Council of 3 Worlds. Stationed to be neutral territory. But no one appointed to run it. Alan thought about this. And then humans showed up, thinking it was just an abandoned research station. Your leaders knew, Vrina said quietly. Sent team to study, take technology. Not supposed to be here either. This new information made Alan reconsider everything. Nathan's theft wasn't just personal greed. It was likely part of a larger plan to steal technology that could give humans an advantage in interstellar politics. As they were talking, a light began flashing on the communications panel. Skal hurried over to it. Incoming transmission, he announced. Encrypted. Alan helped connect his interface device to the communication system. After a few attempts, they managed to decrypt the message. It was audio only, and the voice made Alan's blood run cold. Cargo secured and buyer located, Nathan's voice said. Station coordinates provided. Should arrive within 8 days. Expect minimal resistance. Just 1 human and possibly a few stranded aliens. Station defenses non-functional. He's selling us out, Alan said, anger rising in his chest. And not just us. He's selling access to the entire station. Who is buyer? Ordix asked. They listened to more of the transmission, and a new voice answered that question. The Vex Collective appreciates your information, Mr. White. Our fleet will secure the station and eliminate any remaining occupants. Your payment will be transferred as agreed. Alan had heard of the Vex Collective during his briefings, a notorious group of mercenaries who sold their services to the highest bidder, with no concern for legality or ethics. 8 days, Alan said, looking at his 3 alien companions. That's how long we have to get this station working again. Impossible, Ordix stated flatly. Too much damage. No resources. But Vrina was studying the station schematics carefully. Maybe not impossible, if we focus on key systems only. The defense systems, Skatal agreed, and minimal life support. Nothing else matters if we can't protect ourselves. Alan nodded, thinking quickly. We need to prioritize. We can't fix everything, but we might be able to get the shields and maybe some weapons online. Weapons use much power, Vrina warned. Need to fix power core first. Then that's where we start, Alan decided. Show me the power core. And I need to understand exactly how it works, not just the human explanation, but the real Khazari principles. Skal led the way to a section of the station Alan had never seen before. As the doors opened, Alan gasped. The power core was unlike anything in human technology, a swirling mass of energy contained within crystal pillars, pulsing with colors that seemed to shift between blues and purples. Beautiful, Alan whispered. And dangerous, Skal warned. Core is damaged. Nathan sabotaged connection points here, and here. He pointed to several crystal pillars that were darker than the others. So we have 8 days to learn alien power technology, fix a damaged core, and get defense systems online before a mercenary fleet arrives to kill us all, Alan summarized. No pressure. Vrina made a sound that the translator interpreted as a laugh. Now you think like Khazari engineer. Alan barely slept over the next 5 days. The power core was more complex than anything he had worked with before, but he was making progress. His tablet was filled with notes, diagrams, and recordings of the musical patterns needed to access different systems. Try again, Vrina urged as they worked on repairing one of the damaged crystal pillars. Pattern must be exact. Alan wiped sweat from his forehead and tried the sequence again on the interface he had built. His fingers moved across the screen, creating a rhythm that the translator converted into pulses of light and sound. The crystal pillar flickered but did not fully activate. So close, he muttered. The resonance is almost there. Sktal studied the readouts on a nearby panel. Energy flow improves, but not enough. Crystal needs stronger connection to others. That gave Alan an idea. In human engineering, conductivity was crucial for power systems. Perhaps the same principle applied here, just in a different form. What if we created a better conductor between the crystals? He suggested, something that carries both the energy and the resonance pattern more efficiently. Vrina's mandibles clicked rapidly, her version of thinking hard. Possible. Needs special material. Good conductor of both energy and sound. The materials lab. Alan said suddenly. You showed me that room with all the raw elements. Could we create an alloy there? For the next day, they worked in the materials lab, combining elements in different proportions. Alan brought his human understanding of metallurgy, while Vrina provided knowledge of Khazari material science. After numerous failures, they created a silvery blue metal that hummed softly when touched. This might work, Alan said, carefully shaping the metal into connecting rods. Let's try it. They installed the new connectors between the crystal pillars. When Alan activated the system, the results were immediate. The power core lit up brilliantly, energy flowing smoothly between all the crystals. The station's lights brightened, and systems that had been dormant came to life. It works, Vrina exclaimed, her normally reserved demeanor breaking into what Alan now recognized as excitement. Ordix rushed into the room. Defense systems coming online. Shields active. Alan checked the power readings. We're at 68% capacity already. That's more than triple what we had before. Over the next 2 days, they continued improving the power system. Alan introduced the concept of redundancy, backup systems that could take over if primary ones failed. This was not something the Khazari typically built into their technology. Why use two when one works? Ordix had asked, puzzled. Because one might stop working when you need it most, Alan explained. Humans learned this the hard way. With power restored, they focused on the defense systems. The shields were functioning well, but the weapons were more challenging. Many were damaged beyond repair with their limited resources. We can't fight off an entire mercenary fleet, Alan admitted as they reviewed the station's defensive capabilities. But maybe we don't have to. He explained his idea, using the station's wormhole technology to create a localized phase shift field. Instead of destroying enemy ships, they could temporarily displace them into subspace, disrupting their systems without destroying them. Risky, Sktal warned. Never been done before. Most of what we've done has never been done before, Alan pointed out. That's why it's working. They were still debating the plan when Ordix reported a ship approaching. Alan feared the mercenaries had arrived early, but the vessel was small, just a scout ship. Mercenary markings, Ordix confirmed as they watched the ship on the monitors, scanning us. Let's see if our shields work, Alan said, activating the defense system. The scout ship fired a series of probes at the station. The shields flared bright blue as they absorbed the impact, holding firm against the attack. They're retreating, Sktal announced as the scout ship turned and accelerated away. They'll be back, Alan said grimly, with the full fleet next time. But now, they know we're not defenseless. Vrina placed a hand on Alan's shoulder, a gesture she had learned from him. We keep working. Make station stronger. Alan nodded, looking at the now glowing power core. Their impossible task was becoming possible. The station that was supposed to be Alan's tomb was becoming his greatest achievement. With the station's critical systems now functioning better than before, Alan turned his attention to making the place truly livable. 3 weeks had passed since he had been abandoned, and the immediate danger of system failure was behind them. Now he wanted to create a place where both humans and aliens could exist comfortably. These living quarters were designed only for Kazari, Alan said as he walked with Vrina through the residential section. Humans need different conditions. Vrina tilted her head. Different how? Different gravity, different air mix, different sleeping arrangements. Alan explained. Your beds are too hard for humans, and these lights are too dim for our eyes. Alan had been sleeping on makeshift bedding in the engineering section. It wasn't comfortable, but it had been enough during the emergency. Now he wanted something better, not just for himself, but for any visitors who might come. I have idea, Vrina said. She led him to an unused section of the station. Storage rooms here, big enough for new living spaces. Alan surveyed the area with growing excitement. This could work. We could create modular living spaces with adjustable environmental controls for different species. Over the next few days, Alan and his alien friends worked to transform the storage areas. They salvaged materials from unused sections of the station and repurposed equipment to create comfortable living quarters. Alan designed a central gathering area where the gravity, temperature, and lighting could be adjusted with simple controls. This would allow beings from different worlds to interact comfortably. Never thought of this, Ordix admitted as he helped install the new environmental systems. Make station for everyone, not just one species. That's the human approach, Alan explained. We're used to adapting spaces for different needs. As they worked, Ordix seemed to warm up to Alan. The maintenance worker had been the most suspicious of the 3 aliens, but something had changed. One day, as they repaired a faulty door mechanism, Alan finally asked him about it. You seemed to hate humans when we first met. What changed? Ordix was quiet for a moment, his mandibles moving slowly. 2 cycles ago. Power surge in lower section. You pushed me away from failing conduit. Alan remembered the incident. A power conduit had overloaded during testing, and he had reacted instinctively to pull Ordix out of danger. You saved my life, Ordix continued. No reason to. Could have let me die. That's not how I operate, Alan said simply. Later that day, Skatal approached Alan with news. Small ship approaching station. Not mercenaries. Trader vessel. Alan hurried to the communication center. Sure enough, a small spacecraft was requesting permission to dock. It was an independent trading vessel named Star Wanderer. This is Star Wanderer to unknown station, came a female voice over the comm. We detected your power signature. Are you open for trade? Alan looked at his alien friends, who nodded encouragingly. This is Alan Masonov. Well, we don't have an official name yet. Yes, we are open for trade. The trader's voice sounded surprised. A human? On a Kazari station. This I have to see. Permission to dock. Granted, Alan replied. 2 hours later, Alan was shaking hands with Captain Samantha Bowers, a confident woman with short gray hair and a friendly smile. Behind her, 2 crew members, one human and one from a species Alan didn't recognize, looked around the station with obvious curiosity. Impressive setup you have here, Samantha said. Word in the nearby sectors is that this station was abandoned. It was, Alan explained, until I was left behind with my friends here. The story came out over shared meals in the new common area. Samantha listened with growing interest. You know, she said when Alan finished, there are other independent stations in this sector, but none with your unique approach to multi-species living. This place could become an important neutral ground for trade and diplomacy. She gestured around at the comfortable common area. Most places favor one species over others. This feels welcoming to everyone. Before the trading ship departed, Samantha made Alan a promise. I'll spread the word. You've got something special here. Expect more visitors soon. She wasn't wrong. Within days, another ship arrived, then another. Soon, a small community began to form around the station. Some visitors stayed for hours, others for days. A few asked if they could remain longer. The station that had almost been Alan's tomb was becoming a home for many. The warning came during breakfast. Alan was enjoying a meal with Skatal, Vrina, and two new residents, a human scientist named Laura Bell and a Drenari merchant called Kiv, when the station's newly repaired alert system began to sound. Proximity alert, Alan said, jumping up from the table. Multiple vessels approaching. They rushed to the command center where Ordix was already reviewing the scanner data. His posture was tense as he turned to Alan. 6 ships. Heavy weapons. Formation suggests attack pattern. Alan checked the readings himself. 6 warships were approaching in a classic pincer formation. The lead ship was transmitting an identification code that made his stomach sink. It's the Vex Collective, he said grimly. And look at the command ship's registry, the U.S. Horizon. That's a decommissioned human vessel. Nathan, Vrina said, her voice hard. Alan nodded. He's right on schedule. The past 2 months had transformed the station from a dying hulk into a functioning outpost. Word had spread about the unique neutral port where multiple species were welcome. But Alan had never forgotten the threat that Nathan and his mercenary friends pose. Incoming transmission, Ordix announced. The main screen flickered to life, revealing Nathan White's face. He looked confident, even smug, but his expression changed to shock when he saw Alan. Mason, you're still alive. Nathan recovered quickly. Impressive. I thought the life support would have failed within a week. Sorry to disappoint you, Alan replied coolly. What do you want? Nathan. This station, of course. The Vex Collective has paid handsomely for it. And I promised delivery. Nathan's smile turned cold. I'll give you one chance to surrender. You and your friends can leave in escape pods. I'm feeling generous today. Ellen glanced at the station's status displays. The shields were at full power. The weapons systems were online. Most importantly, the special modifications he and Vrina had developed were ready. I think we'll stay, thanks, Alan said. This station isn't for sale. Nathan's face hardened. Then you'll die with it. You have 10 minutes to reconsider. The screen went dark. Everyone to your stations, Alan ordered. Laura, Kiv, get the other residents to the secure areas. As they moved to their posts, Skatal approached Alan. We cannot outgun 6 warships. We don't need to, Alan replied. We just need to activate the phase shift defense. The phase shift was Alan's proudest achievement, a modification of the station's wormhole technology that could briefly displace objects into subspace. It had never been tested on ships this large, but theory suggested it would work. 9 minutes, Ordix announced from his station. Alan opened a channel to all residents. This is Alan Mason. We are about to be attacked. Please remain in the designated safe areas until the all-clear sounds. Laura's voice came through on a private channel. Alan, I've accessed the Earth database through my personal transmitter. I found something you should know about Nathan White. What is it? Alan asked. He's not just selling to the Vex Collective. He's been feeding information to the Terran military intelligence. They're using him to gain control of the station for Earth interests. This complicated things. If Earth's government was involved, the situation was even more dangerous. 5 minutes, Ordix announced. Shields at maximum, Vrina reported. Phase shift generators charging. The mercenary ships began to move into attack positions. Weapon systems on all 6 vessels powered up, glowing ominously against the darkness of space. 1 minute, Ordix said. Alan took a deep breath. Open a channel to all approaching vessels. When the connection was established, Alan spoke clearly. "This is Alan Mason of Independent Station Crossroads. We are a neutral port with residents from multiple species. Any aggressive action will be met with defensive measures." Nathan's laugh came through the speakers. Defensive measures. With what? That station barely had functioning life support when I left. "Things have changed," Alan said simply. "Last warning. Withdraw now." "Fire," Nathan ordered his fleet. The mercenary ships launched their first volley. Missiles and energy weapons streaked toward the station. "Now," Alan commanded. Vrina activated the phase shift defense. A ripple of blue-white energy expanded from the station, catching the incoming weapons fire and the front two mercenary ships. The weapons fire dissipated into subspace. The ships shuddered, their engines and weapons suddenly offline as they drifted powerlessly. "What the hell was that?" Nathan's shocked voice came through the comm. Alan allowed himself a small smile. That was just the beginning. 3 months after the battle, the station hummed with activity. What had once been a dying outpost was now a thriving center for trade, diplomacy, and cultural exchange. Ships from a dozen different species docked regularly, and the station had gained an official name: Crossroads. Alan stood in the newly constructed observation dome, watching as a sleek diplomatic vessel from Earth approached the docking bay. It had been a whirlwind of changes since they had defeated Nathan and the Vex Collective. After the phase shift defense had disabled the lead ships, the remaining mercenary vessels had retreated quickly. Nathan had not given up so easily, though. He had tried to sneak aboard through a maintenance airlock, the very one Alan had deliberately left with minimal security as a trap. Still thinking about that day, Vrina asked as she joined Alan at the viewport. Alan nodded. "Hard to believe it's only been 3 months since we caught Nathan." The memory was still fresh. Nathan, trapped in the airlock chamber, had been forced to surrender. The evidence of his crimes, both against Alan and against multiple governments, had been transmitted to authorities. He was now facing trial on Earth for technology theft, attempted murder, and collaborating with mercenary forces. "The station has changed much since then," Vrina observed. That was an understatement. After the failed attack, word had spread quickly about the station's remarkable defense capabilities and its unique status as a truly neutral port. The Khazari government had been the first to send representatives, shocked to find their abandoned station not only functioning but improved. "Alan Mason," a voice called from behind them. Alan turned to see a woman in the formal uniform of the Earth Diplomatic Corps. She was tall and carried herself with confidence. "I'm Lieutenant Kate Flores," she said, extending her hand. "Earth's new liaison to Crossroads Station." Alan shook her hand. "Welcome aboard, Lieutenant. This is Vrina, our chief engineer and one of the 4 members of our governing council." "4 members?" Kate asked. "One from each founding species," Alan explained. "Myself for humans, Vrina for the Khazari, Kiv for the Drenari, and we recently added Dr. Moores from the Huleks." Kate looked impressed. "Equal representation. That's rare out here." "It works for us," Alan said. "Would you like a tour?" As they walked through the station, Alan pointed out the improvements they had made. The hybrid technology he and Vrina had developed was now being implemented throughout the station. Several visiting engineers from different worlds were studying it, hoping to apply the principles to their own systems. "And this is our newest addition," Alan said proudly as they entered a large circular chamber, the Interspecies Cultural Center. "We host knowledge exchanges, art displays, and musical performances here." "The Council of 3 Worlds is very interested in your work here," Kate said, "especially the technology you've developed. The phase shift defense alone could change the balance of power in this sector." Alan nodded. "That's why we've been careful about sharing it. Our agreement with all governments is the same. The technology stays here, under neutral control." "That can't have been an easy agreement to reach," Kate observed. "It wasn't," Alan admitted. "But after we showed what it could do against the mercenary fleet, No one wanted to risk forcing the issue. Their tour ended back at the observation dome. The view of space from here was breathtaking. A sea of stars with ships of various designs moving gracefully against the backdrop. "You know," Kate said thoughtfully, "when you were left behind, it was meant to be a death sentence. Instead, you've created something remarkable." Alan smiled. "I had help." Ordix approached them, his once suspicious manner now relaxed and friendly. "Council meeting in 10 minutes, he reminded Alan. "The Tellarate ambassador has arrived." "On my way," Alan replied. As Ordix left, Kate turned to Alan. "Do you ever miss Earth? Think about going back?" Alan looked out at the ships docking at the station. Vessels from worlds he had never even heard of before coming here. In the distance, a new group of engineers was installing the latest version of the hybrid power system he and Vrina had designed. "This is home now," he said simply. "There's too much to do here." A small ship of unfamiliar design approached the station, its lights blinking in a pattern requesting permission to dock. Another new visitor, another opportunity to build bridges between different worlds. Alan smiled. Being left to die had turned into the greatest opportunity of his life. The station that was meant to be his tomb had become a beacon of cooperation in the stars, rebuilt not just better than before, but better than anyone had ever imagined possible.